Governor Ron DeSantis is mad, and he's not letting Florida politicians off the hook when it comes to eliminating property taxes. And lawmakers are saying before they do anything, they want to spend $1 million studying property taxes. And DeSantis said, no way. We already know property taxes suck, and he's made it clear. He's done with the talk. He wants real action. In this video, I'll show you who's fighting like hell to keep you paying property taxes, what it'll actually take to get property tax elimination on the 2026 ballot, and how you can protect yourself right now if you're buying a house in Florida, no matter what happens. Let's jump in. Okay, so here's what happened. Florida lawmakers came up with this genius idea. Spend $1 million of your tax dollars on a study to figure out if getting rid of property taxes is a good or a bad thing. That's it, a study, not a plan, not a proposal, just a report. And while homeowners are out here getting crushed by rising tax bills, the politicians are saying, let's take a few months and think about it. Let's just call it like it is. This whole study thing was a joke. People all over Florida are screaming for help with property taxes. Their home values shot up like crazy the past few years, which means their tax bills did too. Some are seeing thousands more just to keep living in the house they already paid off. That's ridiculous. And what do lawmakers say? Let's do a study. Come on. Governor DeSantis wasn't having it. Lawmakers tried to push through HB 7031, which would have handed $1 million to this office called the EDR, the Office of Economic and Demographic Research. Their job? To analyze how eliminating property taxes would impact local governments and how those tax dollars get spent. DeSantis vetoed it right off the bat. At a press conference, he straight up said he doesn't trust the EDR's analysis. He compared them to the Congressional Budget Office and basically said, look, they'll tell you whatever you want to hear depending on who's writing the check. He even said,
we know what needs to be done, so let's just do it.
That's not a guy who wants more pie charts and PowerPoints. He wants results. And he's got backup too. Congressman Greg Staub jumped in and said the same thing. We don't need to waste time and money confirming what homeowners are already feeling in their wallets. Staub said the veto was the right move and that this would be a huge win for Florida's economy. This study wasn't going to solve anything. It was just a stall, another reason to wait, talk, drag things out while people keep getting crushed. DeSantis wants action. He wants rebates now, a constitutional amendment soon, and actual change, not more expensive reports telling us what we already know. And let's be honest, property taxes in Florida aren't just creeping up anymore. They've completely exploded. From 2019 to 2024, the median property tax bill in Florida jumped by about 47.5%. If your house is in Miami-Dade and you bought it for $300,000, let's say, back in 2019, your property tax bill after the homestead exemption would have been about $2,550. Now, fast forward to 2025, and that same house is now costing you around $4,124 a year in property taxes. Same house, same roof, just way more money flying out of your pocket. So here's how it works. The county decides how much your home is worth every year. They send you a nice little letter saying, hey, congrats, we ran the numbers and determined that your home is now worth more. It sounds great, right? Except they're not sending you a check, they're sending you a bigger tax bill, because the second that value goes up, they raise the taxes with it. But here's the thing, just because the county says your home is worth more doesn't mean anybody's actually gonna pay that. The only real way to know what your home's worth is to sell it. Until then, it's just a number. And while they get to play pretend with the value, you're stuck paying real dollars on it every single year. Now throw in rising homeowners insurance, HOA fees, inflation, and utility hikes, and what do you get? People handing over 4 to 5 figures a year just to stay in their own house. Not to upgrade, not to build, just to exist. Property taxes aren't just annoying anymore, they're a straight up threat. They're pushing people out of neighborhoods, out of retirement plans, and out of homes they lived in for decades. And the government's acting like it's no big deal. Well, it is a big deal, and it's only getting worse. So here's a big question. How do we actually kill property taxes in Florida? Like, for real. Not just talk about it on TV or hold some press conference and call it a day. Here's how it works, step by step. First, someone in the Florida legislature has to man up and actually introduce a bill, or more likely, a constitutional amendment. A regular law is not going to cut it. Property taxes are baked into the Florida Constitution. So if you want them gone, you got to go big. That means a joint resolution has to get through both the Florida House and Senate. And not just by a simple majority, this thing needs a 3/5 vote in each chamber. So 60% of lawmakers have to say yes. That's already a heavy lift, especially when half of them don't even want to touch the issue. But let's say they do. Let's say they pass the resolution. Then it goes to you and me, the voters. The amendment gets slapped onto the ballot for a general election, and most likely in 2026. And here's another heavy lift. It needs 60% of voters to approve it. Not 50%, a full 60% of voters have to say, yeah, we want it. Now you might think, oh, that's gonna be easy, but stick around because I'm gonna show you why this is gonna be a lot harder than you think. And DeSantis can push all he wants, and he is, but he can't get this started on his own. It's gotta come from inside the legislature. And right now, lawmakers are stalling. No real bills, no public momentum, no serious moves. They're either scared of losing local revenue or just hoping this whole thing fizzles out on its own. So if you're waiting for change, don't just look at the governor. He's on your side. Start looking at your state reps and senators. They're the only ones that can get this thing moving forward. And here's the part that drives me crazy about all this. You can pay off your house in full, have zero debt, not owe a penny to the bank, and the government can still take your house from you. Why? Because you didn't pay your property taxes. That's not ownership, that's rent. And the landlord's the county. Here's a little history to show you how this has gotten out of control. Back in 1839, when Florida was still a territory, they introduced ad valorem taxes, which is Latin and it means according to value. They charge half a cent per acre on the best land and a quarter cent per acre for second-rate land. That's it. Back then, it was barely noticeable. Farmers paid pennies, not thousands, and it wasn't meant to be this horror show it is today. And if you think you're mad now, our founding fathers were furious about taxes. Remember the Boston Tea Party? Colonists were all kinds of pissed off when Britain slapped a tax of 3 pence per pound on tea, which today that comes out to about 2 cents a pound. That's it. They saw any tax without representation as a crime. That's why the Boston Tea Party happened. Not over a big fee, but over principle. And you fast forward to today, and we're paying taxes on what we earn, what we buy, what we own, and even what we pass down to our family when we die. Tea tax looks like a joke compared to that. And property taxes are different from every other tax. Sales tax hits everybody. Rich, poor, tourists, snowbirds, everyone pays it when they buy something. If you can't afford the tax, you just don't buy it. End of story. But property tax, you don't get that choice. You gotta pay it every year, whether you're working, retired, living on savings, or flat broke. If you miss a payment, they don't just fine you, they take your home. And that's what makes it so oppressive. It only targets homeowners. Now, imagine if you're a senior. You've been in your house for 40 years and your kids went through the school system decades ago. And now you're living on Social Security and you're still getting billed every single year for the local elementary, middle school, and high school, whether you got kids in them or not. I don't even have kids, and I've been paying school taxes for 27 years. Now, is that fair? I don't know, but it's definitely something to think about. Here's the bottom line. If the government can take your property, even if it's fully paid off, then you don't really own it. You're just leasing it from the county. And calling that freedom is actually a joke. That's why DeSantis calls it theft, and he's not wrong. So why hasn't this moved faster? Why are lawmakers dragging their feet on this one? Simple. Because a whole bunch of people are fighting like hell to keep your property taxes right where they are. And it all comes down to one thing: spending. Government spending in Florida has gotten completely out of control. Think about it. When property values shot up and tax revenue exploded, did counties freeze spending and build a surplus? Nope. They did the opposite. They spent more, way more. Take Hillsborough County, where Tampa's at. The place has turned into a spending circus. Every county commissioner there reportedly gets $500,000 to hand out to whatever nonprofit they want. No vote, no public hearing, no oversight. Just, here's $500,000. I like what you're doing. That's not budgeting. That's a free-for-all, and it could be wide open for backroom deals, political favors, and quiet kickbacks. And since 2019, the number of nonprofits feeding from the trough in Hillsborough jumped by 70. And it gets worse. About 100 of those groups get automatic funding every single year. Some of them have been cashing checks for 30 straight years. Nobody's checking if they work. Nobody's asking if the programs help. They just keep signing the checks. In 1 year alone, Hillsborough handed out $14.5 million to 98 nonprofits. Over the last decade, $225 million. And where's that money coming from? You guessed it, property taxes. Your money going out the door with no real accountability, no performance reviews, and no tough questions. So yeah, there's pushback, because if property taxes go away, the gravy train stops. And a lot of people in county governments and well-connected nonprofits do not want that to happen. They're fighting to keep the system alive, even if it keeps crushing the people who actually pay the bills. And here's what's coming next. These same politicians, the NGOs, and all these nonprofits are going to run a full-blown campaign to scare voters. They'll say the schools are going to shut down, police won't get paid, trash won't get picked up, like the world's going to end if Florida dumps property taxes. There's going to be massive amounts of money poured into defeating this thing. Ads, mailers, consultants, the whole machine. And why? Because they're protecting the golden goose. And that goose is your tax bill. And if we're not ready for it, they're going to win. If property taxes actually get abolished, Florida housing market is going to explode overnight. And you pair that with the Fed finally dropping interest rates, and it's game on. Multiple offers, bidding wars, cash buyers flying in from everywhere. Homes are going to move fast, and prices could spike just as fast. So what can you do right now to protect yourself, whether property taxes stay or go? If you're buying a home in Florida, you got to look beyond the sticker price. First up, HOA fees. That's your monthly fee to the neighborhood association to mow the grass, maintain the pool, fix the gates, and throw up Christmas lights. Some are cheap, some are ridiculous, and some homes have them and some don't. Always check. Then there's the CDD fee, Community Development District. It's a sneaky little line item that's buried in your property taxes. Developers use it to pay off roads, streetlights, parks, all the stuff they built up front. You don't write a check for it, it's baked into your tax bill, but it can add thousands per year, and most people don't even know it's there. And here's the most important thing to understand no matter where you buy. Property taxes uncap the year after you purchase your home. That means when you close on your new home, your taxes are still based on the last guy's bill. But next year, boom, they reset based on what you paid. That cute little $2,000 tax bill that you saw on Zillow when you bought the house, it could jump to $4,500 or more the next year. No joke. That's why you gotta get a killer realtor, not your cousin's brother who sells like 2 houses a year. Get somebody who knows this stuff inside and out. They should show you the future taxes, the HOA and CDD fees, and what your actual monthly expenses are gonna look like. If you know the real numbers before you buy, that's how you don't end up getting screwed. So yeah, I went a little hard on Florida legislators in this video, but to be fair, they've actually done some great stuff too. Click here to see the 17 new Florida laws that are insane in a good way. These new laws are gonna make you proud to be a Floridian, but a few of them are gonna make some of you lose your shit. Click here and I'll see you there.